Time is this. Place is... Whoa, I'm sorry. I'm reading the script backwards. I don't know. But this is the time, this is the place, and this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since everything is geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you're going to get. This is your host, I Am C. This week, we'll be talking about Looney Tunes, heart of all things. And after that, stick around for Everyday Hero and our question of the week. Good morning, children.
Good morning, Chris.
With me, as always, Billy. Hello, Billy.
Suffering Thuckatash.
I'm telling you, you've been looking forward to this one, I think.
I love Looney Tunes.
Tanya's here. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Sherry and Chris are here. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
The monk is in the house.
Hello.
The bouncing baby boy. Say hello, Ian.
No.
Okay, fine. You're grounded. And Derek is with us for another week. Came in, say hi, and hang out with us. I speak for a living. Holy mackerel.
You're in the Looney Tunes.
Oh, man. I think you guys are doing a lot better than I am. I'm in trouble already, and I haven't even gotten through the whole introduction yet. That's crazy. Are we having fun yet?
Yes.
It's been a good week.
Yes.
It's been a good week. We're having a good time so far. Yay.
Yeah.
Chris has the cheesy Joker smile working at the moment.
I won't do
How many more boxes have you unpacked?
Oh, just about all of them at this point. I'd say by now, it's just about all of them.
I think it's all lies.
It's all lies, damn lies and
Probably
slander
half of them.
and statistics.
I would say half of them.
But you know, it's like I said in the last episode. It's weird. It's like I focus on one room, but then something will catch my attention, and I'll go to another room to get something, and then while I'm there, I start working on something else entirely, and then it leads me to another room. Then suddenly I'm in the basement, and I have no idea how the hell I got there.
That's me doing yard work.
And I do end up in the basement too. That's amazing.
Well, when
happens.
you eventually get to the basement, you got to figure out what you're keeping in those cabinets and what you're
Yeah.
not.
Well, I know I need a
cabinets.
dehumidifier because it's already ugly down there. Oh man. So that's a thing. And my birthday's coming up, so hint, hint. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't want a dehumidifier for my birthday. Yeah, that's it. I'll hit my mom up because she's like practical. So let's get to business because we want to get to the items at hand because I think this is going to be a fun or interesting episode.
I think so.
So let's do our sponsor shout-outs. You want to be part of FC3 Monkey Business and Mighty Monkey Corporation? There are a few ways of doing that. The first is to become a sponsor. We have a sponsorship level of all kinds and even willing to create custom sponsorship packets. Please contact us at sponsorships@fc3roc.org. Patreon is the next idea by supporting us. You can support us on Patreon. Please check us out at www.patreon.com/FC3ROC. All membership levels will include access to the Patreon-only blog, plus tons of great perks at all levels, including early podcast, Twitch, and convention information. Shout out to our amazing patrons, Jen Bevan, and our newest patron, Ramon Aiello. Thank you for supporting us. I'm told that Ramon's name is Ray, but I like saying Ramon. It's very
Ramon
classy.
is his name.
And it's Ramon is his name.
But he goes by Ray.
He goes by Ray. Well, hi, Ray, and thanks for joining us. Reviews.
We used to call him Silent Bob, too.
Why?
Because he looks just like Kevin Smith.
Is he?
And he did way back when Clerks started, or when he filmed Clerks.
So Ray is going to cosplay Kevin Smith for when we have Kevin Smith up in town.
That would be wonderful.
I think that'd be hilarious.
You know, I always get the Penn Jillette thing. He always gets the Kevin Smith.
Nice.
So
I think, hasn't he gone as Silent Bob for Halloween?
Probably. At this point.
I don't know.
So.
He's gone as Mario.
It's a me, a Mario.
Yeah. And,
All right.
Anyways,
so we're moving on. Want to help others find the show? Please leave us a review whenever you listen to us. This is the single easiest way to support the show and encourage others to listen. Every review will be thanked on the air, and any questions will be answered. We want this to be a conversation, so please send us your questions. As a matter of fact, we have a 5-star review that landed on us lately. On July 15th, 2018, Truth 105 said, "Fantastic listening for your ear organs." That was the title of his review. A great podcast with relatable hosts, amazing subject matter, and wonderful guests. Break yourself from the same 10 podcasts and try something better. And he signed off by saying, salami. I love this guy already. I love this guy, and I hope I meet Truth 105 one of these days. I think that'd be fantastic.
That would be Ray.
Is that right? Is that seriously? Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's
That's
fantastic.
right.
Oh, now I got to meet this guy now.
He's been one of my best friends forever. So
Yeah, I see the Kevin Smith reference. That works.
Yep.
All right. Current Kevin Smith, not like old fat Kevin Smith.
Back when Clerks came out, Ray was heavier and had long hair.
So the two of them have gone on this weight loss adventure together.
They have.
That's awesome. Well, that's phenomenal. Anyway, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Podbean, YouTube, and Stitcher. Is there a place you find your podcast you can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Please let us know. And please follow us on Twitter at FC3MB Podcast. And if you do, you got to say hi. You have to. It's mandatory. We love it when you say hi. We will say hi back, and we'll most likely be Sherry, but I've been known to say hi myself once in a while. So,
You'll say hi on the air.
I'll say hi on the air. Hi, how you doing? So anyway, so that's a thing. We're all good, though? It's been a good week?
Yeah.
All right.
it went by really fast.
It did go by really fast. It's kind of strange how that works
Summer's
sometimes
going
for
by
us.
really fast.
Yes.
I finally was able to jump into my pool the day that we helped Chris move. It was just so hot that day.
I'm not jumping in our pool.
No, didn't you take yours down?
No, it's still up.
It's still
It's got
It's empty.
Well, it doesn't have like an inch and a half of really disgusting.
Rainwater in it.
Is
Yes.
it like got tadpoles and frogs?
No, they're
and-
already gone.
They're gone.
Oh, okay.
They moved on.
Chris couldn't take the pool down until the tadpoles developed legs and got away.
Well, we had somebody
Seriously,
come
I
and
couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to do
take
it.
our pool down, and so Randy and I were moving the liner out of the pool. Out of the pool area so the new pool could go in, and sure enough there was this big old frog or whatever that had been living underneath the liner or whatever, and I'm like, and it started hopping and it hopped over my foot, and you could have heard me in
Screech.
Rome. Yeah.
I think the line of that whole event, my favorite line of that whole the one pool being damaged in the windstorm, and then doing all the pricing and going and talking to people, and then having the new pool installed. My favorite was she asked this lady at what was it, Ace? I can't remember, or Pettis, whatever. And she goes, "Do you know of anybody who can demolish an existing pool?" And the lady thinks about it. She goes, "Well, we have a Kevin."
We both looked at each other and were like, is that kind of like we have a Hulk?
It was amazing. The way she said it's like, well, we have a Kevin. And we were like, we're sold. This is it. This is the place. Okay.
And Kevin showed up.
And he was right there. He was in the building at the time.
And Kevin's dad showed up, and the two of them on
went to
one of the
town.
hottest days in June, they were like something similar to like it was last week, took it down, and they carried it out to the curb, and every time they came back to the backyard, they ran through the sprinkler where Riker was. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so they were drenched with the sweat and sprinkler water because Riker's like, my new friend, come into the sprinkler, it'll cool you off, and
They did.
They sound like they had fun.
they did have fun.
The frog that jumped away from your pool, it didn't by chance say, hello, my honey. Hello, my baby. Hello, my
I think
ragtime
they
girl.
did because yes, they
Had top hat and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
How very subject appropriate.
yes. That was one that Randy made sure that we would talk about today.
One froggy evening.
Yes.
Winner of an Academy Award.
Nice. We're going to get
Nice,
to that.
nice tie-in,
So-
Billy. That's great.
So we're going to use that segue.
You the man.
We're going to wander through that segue, and we're going to follow through. And so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Looney Tunes.
Comedian John Mulaney. Going
Yay.
to break.
I was a very nervous kid. I was anxious all the time when I was younger. But what's nice is that some of the things I was anxious about don't bother me at all anymore. Like, I always thought that quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem than it turned out to be. Because if you watch cartoons, quicksand is like the third biggest thing you have to worry about in adult life. Behind real sticks of dynamite and giant anvils falling on you from the sky. I used to sit around and think about what to do about quicksand. I never thought about how to handle real problems in adult life. I was never like, oh, what's it going to be like when relatives ask to borrow money? Now I've gotten older, not only have I never stepped in quicksand, I've never even heard about it. No one's ever been like, hey, if you're coming to visit, take I-90, because I-95 has a little quicksand in the middle. Looks like regular sand, but then you're going to start to sink into it.
Overture, cut the lights. This is it, the night of nights. No
the part. We know every card by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it. We'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it. Tonight, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it.
Looney Tunes is an American animated series of comedy short films produced by Warner Brothers from 1930 to 1969. Alongside its sister series, Merry Melodies, it was known for introducing such famous cartoon characters as Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Elmer Fudd, Tweety, Sylvester, Granny, Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn, Marvin the Martian, Pepe Le Pew, Speedy Gonzales, Tasmanian Devil, Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, and many, many others that Sherry did not put in a list that would trip me through forever and ever
You'd
in a
still
day.
be talking.
I'd
3
still
years
be
from
talking.
now.
Seriously, the amount of characters. Oh, it was amazing.
Rodriguez.
Yes, there's him. The most popular character is Bugs Bunny. He is regarded as a cultural icon and has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
And you know what the best part is?
Tell me what the best part is.
He shares my birthday.
He does.
Yes, he does.
You and a rabbit.
Yeah, who would have known?
Not me. I didn't know that until you mentioned it just now. So now I'm enlightened. Now I know that. 39
Where to
years.
go with this?
It's one of those topics where we're not going to be able to do it justice in 45 minutes to an hour.
This is part one.
This is going to be part one. And you know, the things I want to talk about is not only just how much it contributed to culture, but also how, in this modern era of social awareness, how something like that. Let me just go ahead on the limb and say it. They probably wouldn't be produced, not like they are right now.
There are 11 episodes that have been completely taken out.
Yes, and wiped out from existence.
They will never show them again. And for a period of time, they actually pulled all the Speedy Gonzales ones.
No way is that. Do you think?
Because they thought that it was an unfair representation of Mexicans.
Okay.
But you know who got them brought back?
Who?
Mexicans. Do you remember when we had Mark Ashiro on?
Yes.
And he said that growing up, the only representation of people like him that he and his brother ever saw on TV was Speedy Gonzales.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I do remember him saying that
Yeah.
now.
And Mexican Americans were like, no, it's okay. This is our cultural icon, too. You need to bring him back. So they were taken off the air in 1999 and then brought back in 2002.
Well, he came along at a later time in the Looney Tunes, and by then the cartoons weren't as good sometimes. Either.
Yeah, that's true. There was some ups and downs, the classics. What's everybody's favorite? Billy, what's your favorite Looney Tune short?
There's a trilogy where it's Bugs, Daffy, and Elmer. And I think that it's Rabbit Fire. I actually pulled it up here. Rabbit Fire is the first one. And at least just the duck season, rabbit season.
Yes.
Duck season, rabbit season. That always leads to Daffy getting shot in the face.
Right.
Always.
Without even a flinch.
And the banter back
you.
and forth is hilarious. The wordplay followed by the physical aspect of Daffy's bill winding up on top of his head.
Yeah, spinning
on the
around
side
his
of
face,
spinning around.
And still talking.
It's perfect.
You're despicable.
It's perfect. Those three cartoons that make up the Duck Season, Rabbit Season trilogy are amazing.
My favorite has always been Rabbit of Seville.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you bring that up, Derek, when I asked you if you wanted to be on this episode?
Yeah, so Sherry messages me and says, hey, what do you know about Looney Tunes? And I said, I mention Rabbit of Seville at least monthly.
There we go.
It's the reason kids learned that opera exists.
Exactly.
It's so sad that kids today do not learn about opera properly from a cross-dressing rabbit.
That's it. That's pretty much it.
Yep. It's Wagner.
Wagner and cross-dressing rabbits.
There's a whole... Kids learned big words. They learned pop culture references. They learned about sort of grown-up things through these animated characters.
Now, and because I'm looking at some of the notes here, and it's, Looney Tunes was originally developed to showcase Warner-owned musical compositions. So it was kind of originally the original music videos.
Yeah, it was basically made in response to Disney's Silly Symphonies.
Okay.
So that's why Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies
Gotcha.
were
Now
the
that makes sense.
were the two Warner Brother
I don't know why it
properties.
took me so long to actually put that together. That's, okay.
That's some like modern shade right there. It's like, oh yeah, we see your symphonies, and we'll raise your.
Well, we're going to
tunes
raise the
and
bar a little bit
melodies.
here.
That's interesting though, because with Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh my God, yes.
Fantastic movie. When Disney wanted to do that, they asked permission from Warner Brothers. Can we use some of your characters? And Warner Brothers says, absolutely. One condition: our characters get just as much screen time as yours, which is why almost always in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when you see a Disney character, they're paired with a Warner Brothers character.
Okay.
Bugs and Mickey are together.
Daffy
Donald and Daffy are
Yeah.
together. It's so that they have exactly the same amount of screen time.
Who was with
That's funny.
Dumbo? Because at one point
I don't
Dumbo
remember.
shows up and the brooms, those dancing brooms.
Now I want to watch Roger
I
Rabbit
love-
again.
Yeah,
I love
seriously.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I love that movie too.
It's a good one. It is definitely one of the good ones.
But back to the music
Eddie.
thing. Do you remember Owl Jolson? The
Oh,
owl
yeah.
that
Yes.
sang the Owl Jolson. It was the cartoon remake of the Jazz Singer.
Okay.
And the Jazz Singer, Al Jolson, wanted to be a jazz singer, and this family didn't want him to. They wanted him to be a rabbi. And in this, the grown-up owls wanted their son to be a regular owl, and he wanted to be an entertainer. He wanted to sing.
You wanted to sing in the winter and the spring. Yeah.
In the June. Yeah, no, that song's in my head now. Thanks for the earworm there. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's okay. Billy's playing it.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you can't. You
See, I don't have headphones on today.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to Tulio.
I love that cartoon. I love to sing. And back then, I didn't know what it was, but eventually I learned. I go, that's the old song.
I think that's what always drew me as a kid to the Looney Tunes stuff was the music aspect of it, because all the other Saturday morning cartoons, they had the dialogue, they had the action, they had the theme song, but then that was it. Whereas Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies and whatnot, they featured music, and so that was more memorable that way. It was always sticking out because that harmony, that melody would get in your head.
Yeah.
That's why I liked the first season of Ren and Stimpy so much.
Really,
Because
I never really followed it. I mean, I know about
that.
Log. That's about all. That's the only thing I really know of Ren and Stimpy.
It's big, it's heavy, it's wood.
Thanks,
Oh
Monk.
boy.
She's there.
We raised her right.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's good parenting right there.
To be fair, I've never seen the episode, but I've heard the song enough
Because
to
we
know
used to
it.
sing it to her.
and that's also good parenting right there.
I sing it to
But,
her a lot.
Let's
Or Happy Joy Joy.
But
Sing
yes,
that a lot,
Looney
too.
Tunes originally developed to showcase Warner-owned musical compositions. Many have questioned why the series is called Looney Tunes and why its sister show was Merry Melodies, as the musical reference seems odd for a cartoon series. This is kind of what we were talking about. Well, the real reason behind the musically inclined titles is that the series was first developed to showcase, as Sherry was just saying, Warner-owned musical compositions. I'm searching through this text looking for something we haven't talked about yet, and I'm not finding any at the moment. So I'm going to stop right there because there. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there was a dispute. Am I reading this correctly here?
Over the show's budget.
Okay, and the creators of the cartoons left with the rights to the characters in the cartoons leading Bosco. Who's Bosco?
Oh, he was a cartoon character, sort of a clown-looking character.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would have been a disaster for Warner Brothers actually paved the way for the now famous director Tex Avery, Friz Freleng, and Bob Clampett, who introduced Porky Pig in 1935 and Daffy Duck in 1937. Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny were 1940, creating Looney Tunes as we now know them today. So Bugs Bunny wasn't actually even one of their original creations.
No, Bosco was the original character.
That's
and
amazing.
The earliest ones feature, he's a sad little clown.
Sad little clown with all this music.
And Bugs wasn't the character we learned or that we grew up with. He
Really?
started out very differently. Still sort of a wise guy, different voices, just like any character, the early incarnation of both Bugs and Elmer aren't what you
So was it
eventually learn.
Different voice actor than Mel
No,
Blanc?
it was Mel, but he hadn't grown into the voice yet.
Okay, he hadn't
hadn't
figured out the
settled.
character. Yeah, he was still looking around for the character, and then once he found that iconic kind of
The
rhythm.
Brooklyn Bunny.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Well, did you know that Mel Blanc was allergic to carrots?
I did hear about that.
But they couldn't find another vegetable or anything to make that carrot
that crunching
crunch
sound
for the Bugs Bunny.
So he still did it.
So he would have a bucket of carrots on the
So
one
he'd
side,
crunch and spit.
and an empty bucket on the other side. He'd crunch, say the line, spit out the carrot, and then take another one, spit out the carrot because he couldn't eat them.
And it's not like they could have somebody else doing the crunch because so often Bugs talked with food in his mouth.
Right.
That's true. I was gonna, and you know what? And it was funny. Just as you two were making that mention, I'm thinking to myself, well, why wouldn't they have had a stunt cruncher?
Nope, because he talked with food in his mouth
Talked with food in his
all
mouth.
the time.
Bugs was that kind of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would say one of my favorite ones in regards to a Bugs Bunny cartoon is the one where he's gonna love him and pet him and call him George.
Oh,
with the big
that's
monster.
where that
Yeti.
came from.
Yes.
We
Yes.
quote that a lot.
Yes.
And then
Gotta
there was
hug
the
him and
hair
squeeze him.
golem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then there
Where
was the
they were-
Yeti. The
the
Yeti did the
orange-
whole. Yes. Then the big orange blob with sneakers.
Yep.
That I just called him the hair golem.
Oh, he has a name. What is it?
The Gossamer.
He was Gossamer.
Yes.
Yep.
I am not going to doubt.
I remember
Billy.
Witch Hazel. I always loved Witch Hazel.
Oh, Witch Hazel, yeah.
She was awesome.
So I actually used the hair golem in a D&D campaign once.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was very easy to defeat because they had all edge weapons, but still, it was for a moment
Was
or
he
two.
able to trim down his hair?
Yeah, when they're done, was left with just a pile of sneakers.
Now, tell me what you think of this theory. Do you think most kids at first like the Roadrunner the best because it's all physical?
Yes.
I loved.
There's so little dialogue. There's
the
almost
Roadrunner.
absolutely no dialogue when it comes to
But
Coyote
they had
and
such strong rules.
yes, I'm
Very
seeing
strong
that.
rules. Yeah.
Scroll back to that real quick, Ton. Because I want to look that over real quick.
Roadrunner and
Wile E.
Coyote.
Coyote and Roadrunner follow certain rules and laws. Some of the most memorable cartoons in the history of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies were the ones starring Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, which saw a self-professed genius coyote hatch elaborate plans to catch a super-fast Roadrunner, plans which would always comically backfire. It originally was meant to parody the likes of other cartoons like Tom and Jerry, but soon became incredibly popular in its own right, and it was one of my favorites as well. Interestingly, the writers actually came up with a set of rules that governed the series. This included restrictions such as the fact that the Roadrunner was only allowed to only harm the coyote through startling him with the Roadrunner's trademark meep meep, which was also the only thing it could ever say. It was the only line the bird ever had. The coyote is always more humiliated than harmed by his failures. And wherever possible, the coyote's greatest enemy will be gravity, rather than the Roadrunner itself. In addition, all materials, tools, weapons, and devices used by Coyote had to be obtained from the infamous Acme Corporation.
That was recently Rochester's had a little bit of a coyote issue.
Oh,
And,
did it?
Yeah, it has. It's been in the news. Coyotes are in like Greece and around the corner.
Wow.
And I've always said, just look for the mailbox with the boxes from Acme. That's where you'll find the coyotes.
That's it. And although some of the rules did end up getting broken at times, it's incredible to think that such a fantastic and entertaining series also managed to adhere to certain rules.
Do you know what the E stands for?
No.
Ethelbert.
Ethelbert?
Ethelbert.
Isn't that like one of the original kings of England?
Ethelbert.
I think Ethelbert's like one of the original
think
kings
so.
of England.
Yeah, one of the early Saxon kings.
That's amazing. See, there's the
I just
history
love
nerd in me right
how
there.
fast he was able to get all his materials, tools, and
my God.
weapons from the Acme Corporation.
He had Prime membership.
He had Amazon Prime. Yeah, that's,
Say
Were they
Amazon.
delivered
he
by
beat me by a
drones?
second on that one.
And the fact that they were running out into mid-air and he didn't realize until he looked down.
Yes.
The toes.
The toes. It's just like, then don't look down. You could
Gravity
probably-
didn't exist till you noticed it.
Exactly.
I remember being 3 years old and standing on the couch in the living room being like, okay, so clearly, and this is a 3-year-old thinking this out.
Yes.
Going,
Clearly
all right,
this should
clearly
work.
if there's some sort of velocity, something about gravity doesn't work until you acknowledge it. So if I run off this couch fast enough, I will hover. Didn't work. I was like, oh, wait, no.
Yes. Boom. Whoops.
Ow.
I don't think there's a 3-year-old out there who's ever not thought that.
Right.
You
I
know.
mean, because if if you're not in trouble while your parents aren't looking, then gravity must be the same way, surely.
Exactly. That's a now
What, Chris?
Chris is mulling that all over at the moment.
I kind of had that when I fell off the roof.
Whoops.
Were you fine until you looked down?
No, it was the eep.
Oh, gravity works.
Did you get a sign really quickly?
No.
Flips up a sign. Oh no! My favorite of all time was the one where he actually catches the Roadrunner,
And then has no idea what to
and he
do.
holds up a
wait,
sign.
wait,
He holds
he
up a sign and
caught him?
says, "What do I do now?"
Hold on, I'll go back in a second.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
happens-
It
Yes,
happens
he actually
once.
caught
Was
him
that the
once.
one where the little kid was watching the
I
cartoon?
think so. It's been such a long time, but that moment just hits me. And he's like, he's got one hand on the bird, and he's got a other hand on the sign that says, "What do I do now?" Right here, Tanya's looking it up. Catches Roadrunner. There it is.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a full 4-minute episode. It looks like.
We did
Look for it on YouTube and enjoy.
one of the Gish things. We actually did a screenshot.
I
of
did
that.
see that.
Yes, we did. We did a. We had to recreate an iconic cartoon image, and
I kept wanting to do Tom and Jerry.
yeah, she was a
I
big
can,
Tom and Jerry. That was her jam. But it was they did a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner moment.
That's
I was the
fantastic.
Wile E. Coyote.
Awesome. Awesome. So what else? I mean, with a inventory of such
There we
classic
go.
characters. Oh, we've got it. Oh, and I see the picture too. That's phenomenal.
Yep,
Now, who's that in the picture with you, Monk?
that's Jen.
Is that Jen?
Yeah, she
that's
chopped all her
Seven.
hair off.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's
Is that
my Aunt
recent?
Jen.
Is that this week?
That was
It's yesterday.
yesterday.
That's yesterday?
Yeah.
I do not recognize Jen without her hair.
Yes.
Honestly,
So there's
you get used to it.
And there's the steel wool muffler.
Yep.
Okay. And now we're off tangent again.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, we were on tangent for a little while.
Yes, that was.
But I mean, with an inventory of all these characters and 39 years of material, is Looney Tunes out there still? I mean, I don't see
They
it
still
as
do
much.
They're not-
reruns on Boomerang.
But they're not making new Looney Tunes.
Right.
The Warner Brothers is still making cartoons, but they're not Looney Tunes.
Well, I know Looney
anymore.
Tunes was from 30 to 69.
Yes.
And then there's different permutations. There was like, the Tiny Toon Adventures that were
Tiny
in the 80s,
Toons
90s.
were awesome.
Tiny
because
Toons was a very good
Rotuni.
show.
Where's all of it? Like,
And
They
the
did the
Animaniacs.
whole album of Flood by They Might Be Giants in an episode,
Oh, I remember you telling me about that one.
which was just awesome.
They
See, that's the
also
thing
have
is-
one of the most disturbing cartoons ever created.
What's that?
There's one where they drink a beer, drive a car,
God, I remember
crash it, and die.
is that one of the 11 that you can't get
No,
back?
that's Tiny Toons, not Looney Tunes.
Oh.
All the 11 that were banned all have to do with racism.
Okay. Which, that's something I think we want to touch on for a moment.
Yeah.
Because what is seen as racist now was not seen as racist then.
Or we were at war at the time with the Japanese. And
Yes.
Thus, there was a cartoon called Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips,
Yes.
which is a blatantly offensive term.
Oh, terribly,
Yes.
But they were our enemy then.
yeah. So it made it socially acceptable
Yeah.
to a particular degree.
And I don't know that it wasn't racist back then. I think everyone knew it was racist. It was just more acceptable to be racist at that time.
Yeah, and I guess that's a thing and that's probably a good way to clarify it. I mean, are there things that are there instances where it's racism, or is it just it was accepted, or is it the changing of the times?
My point is doesn't matter whether we accept it. It was still racism.
Okay.
It was just we no longer think that that's okay anymore. At least we used to not think it was okay. But I'm not going to go into that because we're not going to get political with this.
We have that coming up this season.
We do.
We're going to
We
be
do.
definitely doing. We're going to be touching on stuff like that soon.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, the censored 11 they're called, and they were deemed too offensive due to extremely racist ethnic stereotypes, including blacks, Japanese, Germans. And then that was about the time that they decided to get rid of Speedy Gonzalez.
Okay.
But they wanted him back.
Most of them were production from Merry Melodies, except for one was Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm seeing that.
And I think that they are available on DVD, but as a it's almost like an educational. They're promoted as these. We don't say that these aren't how we think, but for sort of educational purposes,
They are interesting to watch to be able to. I mean, it's like
not all
the way.
were very good cartoons.
No,
to
they
be
weren't very.
honest.
I remember some of them, and they weren't
I
very
was
good.
Looking at this top one, it says All This in Rabbit Stew. I remember seeing this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very late that they actually pulled them. But it's kind of like people want to censor things like Mark Twain's books for schools because we don't want that word. And, well, you know what? That word is useful in an educational context.
Yes.
I can see these censored 11 being very good in an educational context. Do we want to be showing them to little kids and make them think that this is actually an acceptable way?
We don't want to use it for an entertainment purpose.
No, but for an educational purpose, I'm glad to know, Billy, that they are still available for that purpose.
And that's good because I think a lot of things get wiped off the board and then not talked about because if you ignore a problem, it stops the problem is almost like the mentality. And it's like, is that the right way to kind of go about it? I don't think so.
No, because it comes back.
Yeah, because that's those who do not follow history are doomed to repeat it or something along those lines.
Those who do not remember history.
That's it. Thank you. That's the aphorism I was looking for. So see, we can get deep too here, Derek.
I was gonna say because I too can get deep with stuff.
Nice.
I think the thing is that
that's what she said.
Really?
What?
Stop.
It was a gopher ball. He had to go for it.
So my thought on it, especially coming from the standpoint of. In my actual work, I'm a linguist, and I work with a bunch of people from all over the world. That we were really bad a long time ago, especially in the 30s onward, at acknowledging that people could be different, and that what makes people stand out as a culture is like, yeah, that's part of their identity. But then when you start like taking those things and exaggerating them like the Censored 11 did, because I remember a few of them, and that was just even back in the early 90s to a kid growing up, something about it to me was like, that is not cool. That is not that's not how we do things around here. But even if you take them off the board, somehow, some way, some dude somewhere, probably below the Mason-Dixon,
the Manson-Nixon line, as Robin Williams used to call it.
Yeah, bless him. Is gonna like have that stereotype, and he's gonna promote it in his own way. So if you at least sit down a 12-year-old, be like, "Hey, look, Timmy. So the world is a tricky place. You see these are bad. Don't be like that. Enjoy culture, enjoy people from other places for who they are and what they are. But this shit's not cool.
Yeah, seriously.
And you got to tell kids that these days."
When you come into town for studio, can you bring him more often?
Absolutely.
That's great. That's a fantastic point. That's the best way to look at it. And so we have this broad spectrum within an animated series that was meant to entertain people. We have this broad spectrum. We can look back over almost it's what's 80 years now. It's been something like that. 30s or just 90, almost 90 years. It's been. Since these first started showing up on screens, both big and small.
And actually, I'm wrong about them being released. 8 of the 11 were shown at a film festival in Los Angeles to sort of test the waters. There was an animation expert hosting it. And at the New York Comic Con in October 2010, they confirmed that they would be releasing the Censored 11 completely uncut on DVD. But it
never materialized,
and it doesn't. Nothing's come of it since. So.
Well, I'm okay with that. Being a younger person growing up with it, I'm totally okay because I think we have, and not to get political, as Sherry said, we've already got way too much crap that does not go in a conducive fashion in eliminating the problem that represents. Like, there's so many issues in today's world that need to be addressed, like racism and violence and all these things. And I mean, you look at any of them. We were just laughing about how Daffy Duck gets shot in the face, and in that context, yeah, it's pretty funny. Like we all remember that, and be like, "Ha, yeah, duck season, great times." But then if you look at the news, it's like, "Oh, but that's not cool."
Yeah,
there's a very clear line that needs to be drawn, and the easier it is to draw on that line, where it's like, okay, it's a cartoon duck. He got shot, but it's not real.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
When I was 3 and 4 years old, my mother's brother lived with us. He moved in with us for a while, and he was very much a hippie. We were not allowed to watch Looney Tune cartoons. He did not approve of the violence in them. He hated. My brother had a wall hanging of the Roadrunner, and I had one of of Pink Panther. And he drew a mural on my wall to go with Pink Panther. He wouldn't do one for my brother with his Roadrunner because he's like, it's all violence.
Was it really that violent though? I mean, here's the thing:
it was the censored versions of the cartoons we grew up watching wound up on TV within the last 10, 15 years. It took out basically 75% of the jokes.
Wow.
Was the physical comedy of it was basically censored, and
I think that's the thing is
made them unwatchable. To be honest,
you labeled it physical comedy, and that's the violence of it. And then I compare it to stuff that's on the small screens for kids these days. And I'll take a pass at our buddy Ray, who was with us a couple of weeks back. Power Rangers is nothing but, in my opinion, is just acrobatic butt kicking going on.
Lana wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers when she was little.
I really wasn't.
Think of G.I. Joe. Think of.
That's good parenting. You didn't rely on the TV stations to censor stuff. You said you can't watch this until when you're old enough.
Yeah, there was only a couple things. There was only a couple things, and I watched them first. Chris and I really talked about several shows. There was a couple shows she was not allowed to watch. She has no reference for things like Family Guy. She has no reference for things like The Simpsons and South Park because those are not for kids.
Right.
And then by the time she was
I like
old
you
enough,
deciding that.
Yeah, it was like Barney.
Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
I see the point you're making with
Ed,
that
Ed,
one,
Eddie,
Billy, and
yeah.
that's the obvious one. Is that where was I going with this thought?
Parenting.
Oh my God! Well, it is a parenting thing. We're so wrapped up in what's right, what's wrong, and people telling us what's right and people telling us what's wrong, and not letting us choose for ourselves. In our house, Ian will tell you, SpongeBob SquarePants and Fairly Odd Parents was on the banned list because.
we didn't ban those.
Like for my parents, it was okay to see Curly or Mo saw Curly in the head with a saw.
Yeah,
but no, not for you, and that's fine. That's
but you know what I did watch a lot of?
What's that?
Godzilla.
the cartoon.
No,
with Godzuki.
The rubber monsters.
The rubber
they
monsters.
used to play the gods. They used to play the dubbed Godzilla movies on Sunday mornings before my uncle got up.
Well, I think at that point it's so
all of
fantastical
those.
you just can't take it seriously.
But I mean, we talked about. I mean, when I said that about the violence and you're like, was it really that violent? Yes, the cartoons really were that violent, but we didn't notice it. So I don't believe in censoring them, but maybe I think we have this view of Looney Tunes because it's something that we grew up on that maybe
rose-colored glass lens kind of thing.
I remember they were so funny, and then you look back and you go,
Whoa.
wow. Like Disney movies that they could never make today. I loved Peter Pan. Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Kidnapping.
God.
It's like
What makes the red man red? That song could never get past. Dumbo and those crows. And the Jim Crows. What? I mean, things that we didn't get when we were little that were just... That I'm just like, I don't know if that's really something we should be showing kids today because it normalizes this stuff.
Yeah.
I love Looney Tunes. I love the characters. I was so excited about this topic because I love these characters.
But now I know that if someone points a gun at me, I just got to stick my finger in there. It's going to blow up.
There you go. That's it. Life lessons. And I'll be honest to all of our dear listeners. This was kind of the conversation I was shooting for. When we were talking about Looney Tunes, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff, but then there's a lot of deeper issues that we can really kind of like dip our toe into a little bit more, because that's something we've warned you a couple times in this season. We were planning on getting a little bit more in depth on certain things. Go ahead, Monk, and then Chris, and they're going to stare at each other. I saw your little hand
again.
up. I saw your hand. So
Well, I'm going to say that besides that, it also taught me a lot of things.
Such as?
It used vocabulary words that most kids don't know.
I know.
Succotash.
Nimrod.
I'm going to bring that up.
I know that Albuquerque existed because of Bugs Bunny.
and you should have taken a left turn when you got there.
Exactly.
Wall is a real place.
It is.
I still remember that one day on the radio, we had Jack Garner, local movie critic,
Right.
writer, in studio, and I think Brother Wheeze used the word hirsute in a conversation. Mm-hmm. And Jack thought it was a made-up word. What's that? Jack's one of the smartest people I know. And I know what that word is, and Wheeze knew what it was from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
From a Bugs Bunny.
We knew that it meant something was hairy.
Yep.
And Jack wouldn't. We looked it up in the dictionary.
That's amazing.
And he's like, "How did you guys know that?" Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Okay, so Monk.
This is all like bringing me back to, I don't know how new it was, but it was a fairly odd Parents episode where Timmy's grandfather comes over to babysit him because Vicky was like, I don't know, AWOL, for all I know. And they go into what his grandfather thought were cartoons. And it very much it's like the old black and white ones.
I've seen that episode.
And it's definitely like it like broke the TV when he initially turned them on.
Right.
Because he's like, yeah, that's the cartoons I was on. And it was just like, oh, well.
Looney Tunes were in black and white originally.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. Can you stall photo?
Cross-dressing rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that didn't even occur to me.
These were the things we discussed when Sherry and I were talking about doing this episode to begin with.
Yeah, that's like, oh wow, like a lot of that just like wouldn't fly these days unless being heavily prefaced. Like that's.
But Bugs did have a nice body.
The good lipstick and
makeup.
phenomenal
His
makeup skills
were wonderful.
He knew how to carry himself in heels. Yep. There you go.
But
he must be related to John Barrowman.
Barrowman.
But the fact that it was being made fun of.
Yes, the fact that it was played for laughs
Yeah.
is definitely an issue these days.
Right, that's an issue.
Yeah. On a less, to go back a little bit to what Billy said about new words, Bugs Bunny actually changed the meaning of a word.
Did he?
Yeah, what does Nimrod mean?
It's
Like
a
an
Dumb
idiot?
person.
yeah.
Nimrod was a great hunter in the Bible. It was a very obscure reference. He was being sarcastic. What a Nimrod. He was being sarcastic, saying, well, he's not a great hunter. People didn't understand the reference
kidding.
and thought Nimrod meant idiot or stupid person. So it changed the entire definition for every generation after that as
That's
to what
amazing.
Nimrod means great hunter.
That's global.
Yeah.
What a Nimrod.
Yeah.
What a maroon.
What a maroon.
And I still call people maroons.
We think the power to create characters that are legendary. There's two characters, and you referenced at least one of them in your notes. Both Tasmanian Devil and Marvin the Martian only appeared in 5 cartoons
Each.
from the 50s and 60s.
Only 5?
Yes.
Yeah, 5 each.
But they're so
That's amazing.
They're so iconic.
Iconic.
they're completely iconic.
Where's my PQ-34 space modulator?
That was
My
really good.
earth-shattering kaboom!
Yes, Chris?
Okay, to go back to what I was saying about Bugs Bunny. Cross-dressing.
Carry on.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys took me off on a
I'm
tangent.
sorry.
So, but
Now
I'm
you know
very
how I
focused,
feel on a regular
laser
basis.
focused, laser focused. Because of that, wasn't unusual to me.
True.
So, it has both purposes where, yes, it does make fun, but also it made it very normal for me to see a man dressed as a woman and not care.
That's
That's
fair,
cool.
yeah.
Not
So
a lot
that-
of people can say that, though.
And it also took everything. See, I looked at everything different growing up.
Okay.
I knew that stuff was ridiculous. I'm not going to go out and try it because it's very obvious. Oh, I'm going to get hurt.
Right.
So there's lessons
So
to
you
be
had
learned.
common sense.
There's lessons to be learned as well,
Right.
and not just take it as this is all bad. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it teaches without having to even discuss it.
And that's the fair point. Oh, jeez. I look to my left, and there's nothing but Bugs Bunny and women's clothing.
I found some really nice screenshots.
And
of
he carried
him.
himself off seriously with confidence. I mean, it was never like I'm doing this to embarrass anybody. It was just this is.
And just looking back from my perspective on it, I'm just like they were using it as a distracting technique in order for Bugs to get whatever he needed at that point, whether it's Elmer Fudd to leave him alone or whatever. And I didn't personally see it making fun of. But other people definitely would.
Yes. It's like in Firefly.
Help me out here with that.
Really? Nathan Fillion cross-dressing in Firefly.
Well, yeah, it was a disguise.
Exactly.
Okay.
Part of it was a disguise.
Right.
What I find,
But not all of
what
it.
I find more disturbing about Bugs Bunny in drag now than the fact that he was in drag was that every time he was using his feminine wiles, which is a little disturbing in a children's cartoon.
But that was
It wasn't that it was a male rabbit dressed as a woman. It was let me use sex to get what I want.
and that was the
in a children's
perception of that
cartoon.
time. I mean, that was totally the perception of the 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
70s,
So-
that feminine wiles in order and bat your eyelashes, and women will get what you want, especially if you put your leg out
Yep.
and whatever.
So not only was
that
it being
There we go. All right.
so it was being sexist as well.
Yes.
Yes, and
it wasn't, but me, it wasn't a sexist thing. It was for me, it's why do we have to inject this into a children's cartoon?
because a lot of the times that the creators aren't necessarily making the cartoons for the kids, they're
Yes.
making it for the parents.
And
hence Aladdin.
Yeah. I can no longer, I'm sorry, I can't watch Pepe Le Pew anymore.
No.
He always annoyed the heck
That
out
one's
of me.
tough. You're right about.
I can't
About
watch it
Pepe.
because pretty much
He would not take no.
he was a date rapist.
He was the first Me Too guy.
Yes. Oh my God, he was awful.
I just thought he was annoying as hell.
And it was played for laughs. Oh, let me kiss you and hold you, even though you're obviously trying to get away from me.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And how many men did that teach? Gotta
Well,
wonder.
I love the way you assessed that, though. He's the original Me Too guy.
That was Billy.
That was Billy. Billy said that? Yeah. I heard that comment. I was like, yep, that's him.
Yep.
That's
So
definitely
I can't watch Pepe Le Pew. That's one.
Yeah,
that's
he
just,
annoyed me anyway. It's like,
I just found it
it's like,
obnoxious.
did you not figure out that that's a cat and not a
Yeah, how smart
skunk?
was he?
He's
Not
really
very.
lonely.
And wouldn't you be if you were that guy?
Oh my god!
Boy.
Don't give him a phone. Don't let him text.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
That would be horrible. Good point.
Oi.
Pepe Le Pew with a MySpace or a Facebook.
I sent you a text message a few times. You did not answer.
Let me send you
I'm
another
on
friend
Tinder.
request.
I'm a Tinder.
On Tinder.
Was it swiping left or swiping right? Which
Right.
You Americans, you make my ass twitch. Anyway,
Wrong one. Great quote, though.
thank you.
I mentioned that most people start off liking, I think, as little kids, Roadrunner and Coyote best because of the action, the violence, whatever, and then grow into the more verbal humor, and then even the more sophisticated thing. Like, how long did you initially like One Froggy Evening with the cartoon with the singing frog?
Hello, my baby.
Love that episode.
I've always loved
But
it.
you always from the very first. You didn't like grow into it as you got older.
I think
and-
from the outside, I thought it was energy because the shock value. You know, you're supposed to have this surprise moment where the frog is now suddenly dancing and singing and doing a musical
But wasn't
review.
it frustrating when the frog wouldn't sing and dance?
Yeah, I was like, okay, come on.
It reminded
Why
me
aren't-
of cats and dogs everywhere.
They will always make liars,
Liars
out of you.
they will not perform on demand.
No.
Nope.
I think, like, for me, growing up with it, because, like, Looney Tunes was a lot of what I watched, and I think a lot of, like, my perception of, like, comedic timing, at least, was very, like, founded on it, is that Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote have always been my least favorites, mostly because, like, growing up, and especially considering, you know, my background in theater and improv and all that stuff, that I loved Bugs Bunny because of his ability to think on his feet and just make shit up as he goes.
Yes.
And, like, that's what I loved about him. I'm like, yes, give me more of this guy. Tell me more about how to manipulate the world to my, like, whim without a second thought.
He was also the first character of all the shows that I watched growing up as a kid who broke the fourth wall like it was going out of style.
Oh yeah.
Right, loved it.
I mean, he would look right at you.
A lot of the Looney Tunes characters.
I
did.
noticed that more as I started getting into them more. You know, like the Roadrunner and would really never
Daffy
do it. But
Wile E.
Coyote,
Coyote.
yeah. Wile E. Coyote was definitely, you know, he would always look at he would reach out for some sort of empathy. You know, the look on his face would be like, you know, hey, or you know, when he was going over the edge and he realized he was about to fall, he would look at you and just like, oh crap, you know that. But Bugs was the first everyday character that I would watch on a regular basis that really kind of did it. He would speak to you. and he was making his commentaries to you. You were sharing the joke with him. He was planning something, and you're in on it.
He was the Groucho Marx of the cartoon world.
Yes, because he always flicked the carrot like he was smoking a cigar.
The nice thing about Coyote too is the way he teaches, because they use him like Coyote in all the historical stories.
In the myths and things.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, as long as we're talking about Bugs Bunny and talking, we got to talk about Mel.
Mel Blanc, the man of 1,000 voices.
Yes. His gravestone reads, "That's all, folks."
How appropriate.
It really does.
That's amazing.
Yes, it does.
I've been trying to bring up where Bugs is talking to a flight attendant. Well, and he's got the very sexy flight attendant look, and the other one's it was an actual female flight attendant. She says we don't dress like that anymore. And you're a male flight attendant. You really don't need to dress like that. And Bugs is just but I want to. These heels do great things for my legs.
That's a much later thing. That's not one of the original Looney Tunes.
No, but I
heels
love
do great things for your legs.
But I mean,
Not your feet.
But Mel voiced Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Tweety Bird, Sylvester, Yosemite Sam, Marvin the Martian, Foghorn Leghorn, Speedy Gonzales, Bugs Bunny. He did, and dozens of characters.
Woody Woodpecker.
I loved Woody Woodpecker.
Did he do Woody Woodpecker?
Yeah.
Because I know back in the 40s, in radio, he used to be semi-regular in the Jack Benny Show.
Yep.
He
He was.
play
I
store-
love the Jack Benny Show.
And he was the voice, quote unquote, of Jack Benny's car with the sound effects of like the car blowing
And
up.
a lot of characters. He did on the
Cy,
Jack Benny
Polly
Show.
the Parrot, Mr. Fanique, Nottingham, train announcer, Jack Benny's Maxwell. Is that the car?
Yes.
And additional voices.
Yep.
He also had Tom and Jerry vocal effects. Barney Rubble.
Yeah, he was the first Barney Rubble.
Heathcliff.
Heathcliff the cat.
In the movie.
All right.
Yep.
Could we bring
He
up
was neat.
Dennis the Menace? He was Leo Trinkle.
So he
Cosmo Spacely and the
Didn't his,
Jetsons.
son, didn't his son take over for him?
Did he? I know a comedian named Joe Alasky did, but also probably Mel Blanc's son. Sure,
Yeah. I think it was Mel
it's
Jr.
gone
from
through a few different people depending
just
on
a
the
smidge.
depending on the project.
No.
Other way?
Oh, Noel Blanc. Okay. I could have sworn it was like his son or nephew or something. But yeah, see, he's done some of the work. All right.
He's more on like the Tiny Toons.
See, this has always been one of my favorites. See if Chris can hear it. Three Little Bops.
Okay. I think I know which one that is.
Remember the story of three little pigs. One played a pipe and the other danced jigs. The three little pigs are still around, but they're playing music with a modern sound.
I always looked forward to this one being on because for 6.5 minutes there was this singing and the wolf trying to break down the pig's house and a little scat jazz song explaining the whole story.
And music is your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So that's the easy way to relate to Billy is through music.
This is the only type of
And it's great
jazz
stuff.
I like.
Really?
Is scat jazz. It's the only type that I can listen to. And when I think of the Three Little Pigs, I still think of this cartoon.
Three Little Bops?
Yes.
Nice.
Still think of this cartoon. This is the version that I know.
That's why I like Tom and Jerry too.
Love Tom and Jerry.
Lana was a big Tom and Jerry kid.
And that seems to be kind of a theme throughout a lot of Looney Tunes, is to have the two characters that are antagonistic to each other, and there's a chase. There's always just like a, pardon me for saying it this way
sorry.
with Tom and Jerry, but
That
cat
was
and
me,
mouse.
sorry.
There's always this one person's after the other, and the tables get turned, and this, that, thing you never quite catch, but there's always the threat going
Yep.
on. That seems to be
It's
like
like-
the regular thing.
It's like the just the ones like mouse takes cheese, cat chases mouse, mouse runs into the hole, cat says bad words.
Yeah. And then begins
Dog
to
eats cat.
and, Somewhere along the line, strange things are strange things are afoot at the Circle K. You were there. I could see you. You could see it.
Gotta show Monk that movie.
Yep. I actually went to a Circle K recently.
Did you really? That's phenomenal.
That
And
movie's on Netflix.
I think of that every time.
They're making a third.
No.
It's a thing that is happening.
No, the second one was so bad.
Alex Winter showed a picture of him and Keanu Reeves together in the same frame,
I
and
saw
they're
that.
both on board. It's happening.
I saw
The
that.
second one was so bad.
If
Well,
you don't,
maybe-
and you listeners
maybe
who
it'll
don't
be like
know,
the Highlander movies.
there should have been only one.
Well, no, the third movie was okay.
No, Sherry, no.
The third one redeemed the second one.
No one talks about the second Highlander.
Nobody talks
Yes.
about this.
It didn't happen.
Okay.
Never.
When I was pregnant with Monk, Chris wouldn't settle on a boy's name. He kept saying, it's a girl. It doesn't matter. It's a girl. It's a girl. I'm like, well, just in case, we need to have a name. I was about 7 months pregnant when we finally settled on a name, and it was Connor Duncan. And we started telling people, and people go, oh, you're big Highlander fans. And Chris is just like, and I'm like, I never even thought of that. Chris is laughing. I'm like, really? You did this on purpose just so people would say this to me.
Oy.
Yes. Her
See,
name
you would. You know what you should have done is picked a middle name that started with a B, and then the initials would have been CBS.
See?
No, because
Oh, wait, that's
it would have had
NBC.
NBC.
and Duncan was actually what we picked first because it's my mom's maiden name.
Gotcha.
Can we talk about Animaniacs?
It's time for Animaniacs. See, we can.
And we're zany to the max.
Hello,
nurse.
Oh my god.
Also not cool nowadays.
Except for she was the smartest character on the
She
entire
was.
show.
They had a whole song about it too.
She was an amazing person.
I love that woman for who she was.
Yeah. Not for who she wanted to be.
She was a PhD.
She was.
Yeah,
One of my
I remember that.
And we
Favorite,
actually
Go
ahead.
ahead.
One of my favorite things from Animaniacs is the one where they're going out naming all the countries of the world.
I was gonna bring that up.
And
Yep.
I have Chris look to your left.
Yep.
They,
As a matter of fact, the very first video we ever put together for FC3 started off as a collage of, it was sites in Rochester set to that, which of course is music set to something, to something else entirely, but our buddy Jason put it together. And that was my inspiration, though, was Animaniacs. Yakko going through
oh my god, the guy who does them updated the song.
I heard.
Oh my god, it's
What's his-
amazing.
Rob,
I love
Rob
it.
Paulson is his name? Is
Yes.
the voice actor?
Ron.
Ron Paulson?
I
Okay.
think so.
He's
His
somebody
name is
else that
Robert
come in.
Paulson.
His name is Robert Paulson.
No,
Sorry,
we're
Fight
not
Club
talking
movie.
about that. We're not allowed to talk about that.
Anyway.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about that.
Not
The
the
first rule
Yeah.
is that we
Fight
don't
Club. You don't talk about
We
Fight
don't
Club.
talk about Fight Club. So,
I think my favorite thing about Animaniacs was whenever they would harass like historical figures, like the one with Beethoven.
Yes.
I am Beethoven. I am a famous pianist. We don't like you. You're a potty mouth.
Michelangelo.
dust for fingerprints. No, I said fingerprints.
No.
No. There was so much laced in there for the adults that was
Oh my
just.
god.
Yeah.
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 I don't think so. I can't help it if I'm cute.
When that show was on, of course we were older when
Yeah.
that show was on, but that did not stop. Like everybody that Jen and I worked with calling us Pinky and the Brain.
What are we doing tonight, Brain?
I don't know, but we're going to get.
Same thing we do every night.
We're gonna do ba 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 ba.
No, it was.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm
Are you
pondering?
thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah,
Yes,
brain. But where are we gonna find rubber pants our size?
My favorite Animaniacs episode is the one where they actually take you into Pinky's brain, and it goes from point A to how he gets from point A to point B. How he
and it actually makes sense. That's
and
me.
And in the background, you
I
hear
was Pinky.
Brain explaining something and going through something, but it's just noise in the background, and it's just Pinky in the forefront, and it's going from visual to visual, and he's talking about this, that, and he's linking from point A to now he's in this point, now he's and then he gets to the conclusion, and it's like, I just saw where that went, and I understood it, and now I feel like I need a shower. I feel like I need an entirely, like, oh my god, and
Yes,
it was.
I was Pinky in that.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It's like, oh my god.
Well, it just so happens that Animaniacs has gotten a 2-season straight-to-series order at Hulu.
So
for
that's
premiere
coming back
in
as well.
2020.
Oh my god.
So it says here, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot are waiting impatiently inside the water tower. And now
Aren't we all?
the
Yes.
hilarious brand of animated chaos will be unleashed again.
So Animaniacs is coming back. Bill and Ted is coming back. I feel like I'm 17 again.
I mean, I'm happy that Young Justice is coming back.
That's the thing. That's the thing. We'll
Yeah,
talk about that.
Rob
Paulson, I was right.
Yep.
Somebody called me, told me out on that. Come on.
Sorry.
Miss Robert.
Shut up!
His
We're not allowed
name
to
is
talk about
Robert
that.
Paulson.
Now, I saw something
name
with
is Robert
Rob Paulson
You
and
are
another
within
voice
kicking
actor
distance.
changing their roles, that someone else was doing like all the Rob Paulson.
Yeah. Well, Rob Paulson does this. He has a regular video that he does, a regular video cast, I guess, a video podcast that he does, where he'll interview other voice actors and they'll talk about stuff. And then listeners will give them things to do in their voices. So, like, at one point, he was the one I saw recently, the guy who does Shiro for the Voltron series lately. So it was Ron and that particular voice actor doing a couple of the epic speeches from Lord of the Rings, but in their favorite character voices. So it was Shiro and Wacko, but they were doing Aragorn and Boromir's argument.
Seen something.
I've watched
like
lots of those. They're freaking hysterical.
Oh, it's awesome.
What were some of the
They're
ones
awesome.
that I was watching? Not too long
They
ago
were doing
on those.
scenes from Reservoir Dogs, but Ron was doing it from Carl. From Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. He was just bringing out the weirdest characters to be involved in these classic movie scenes.
And he almost lost his ability to work after a throat cancer diagnosis in 2017.
Wow.
He had painful treatments that saw him lose 50 pounds, but his voice is back in fighting shape. It could have
Good
been a
job.
lot
Oh,
worse.
that's good to hear. Because he's
for
he's
him.
not just a talented guy, but he's a great guy too. I've seen a lot of interviews where he just talks to people and he gets to know fans. He's one of those personal folks that you just want to get to know.
Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson.
That's it.
is
That's
the
the
name
one.
of his
Thank you.
show. It's on the Nerdist.
Okay, there we go. See, that's a show that I would recommend people follow. So good stuff.
Things like Beast Boy and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, stop. Doing Point Break was the first one that came up.
I am an FBI agent. I know, right?
The ladies of South Park take on Ghostbusters. Troll Hunters takes on The Princess Bride.
Voltron
Nice.
meets Top Gun.
There it is.
No.
SpongeBob SquarePants travels to the office.
Star Trek meets Ben 10.
The Justice League become the Fellowship of the Ring. Tommy Lee Jones visits The Simpsons.
Nice. See, there's a lot of places you can take this.
Yeah.
Is that it? Can I see Vicky from here?
Crosses over with the X-Files.
Yes.
Fairly
Oh my
Odd
God.
Parents, yep.
And I can see Phineas from Phineas and Ferb.
And Men in Black, yep.
Fantastic.
And I think all these shows sort of took their cue from Looney Tunes. To
Exactly.
Get back to our original-
Oh, that was my favorite. The Pinky and the Brain and
And the Brain Lapse.
oh wow.
Age comes to us all, Chris.
I have no idea what you are
It rubs the lotion on its skin.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs.
Silence
Silence of the
Lambs.
Lambs. Thank you. Name just flew out of my head. That one was fun.
Another good.
I think that was the first one I saw.
All right. So
We could go on
We
and
could.
on and on.
and we
so-
will, and we'll come back to this because I have a feeling there's a lot more to talk about, especially
Because
with
now
new
I want to
material.
go home and watch all 6 box sets I have of Looney Tunes
There it is.
cartoons.
We're going to
Completist.
Billy's house.
So I say
I
that, say
have
it, Billy.
20
I got
I have-
no time for box sets.
I have 24 discs.
boy.
I have 24 discs of Looney Tunes to go through now. So.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure I've got Looney Tunes at home, too.
Dang.
Anyway,
Wow.
we're going to wrap this one up for now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do some short segments, our question of the week, and then we're going to be moving on. That it? Okay.
No, it's just
It's music.
It's music. So you can.
So, what do we got coming up? We got events coming up.
We do have an
We
event.
do have an
coming up.
event coming up. Tanya, what's coming up soon?
We have the Flower City Mini Con at Grease Ridge, the Grease Ridge Center, right?
Grease Ridge Center Mall.
On October 27th and 28th. Exhibitors, vendors, and artists. Tables for that weekend are only $75. So contact Brian at fc3roc.org if you are interested.
Yay. Go ahead.
And if you bring enough good comic books, you'll make that back easy.
Yeah. easily.
Because I'll give it to you.
So
Here,
hint,
take my
hint.
money.
Billy says, "Take his money."
Take my money.
Please.
Yeah. Everyday heroes. Not all heroes.
No capes.
There we go. Wear capes. Who is your hero? Do you know a fireman, a police officer, nurse, EMT, military personnel, teacher, or librarian who is your personal hero? If so, let us know all about that person, and we will give them a shout-out on the air. Please send your nominations to FC3 Monkey Business at gmail.com.
I have a hero.
You have a hero?
His name's Derek.
Derek is our hero.
He is our hero this week. He just
Dude's
makes
been
me,
coming through.
You know, just 5 years he's been playing. 5 years, and to go through everything that he's been doing in those 5 years, when
And now
I've been playing
bringing it
since
to next level.
'92, and I'm like, I don't think you were even born in '92.
I was 1 year old.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's
I'm
like
so old.
he's done more stuff.
I'm so old.
I'm feeling it
He's
today.
done more stuff in the 5 years he's been playing
Yeah.
than the 20 some
So
odd
bravo,
years
young
I've
man.
been playing. So
Bravo.
you are my hero.
I couldn't have told them the day you were born, but I did know the month and the year. I knew it was November 91.
It was October 25th. Thank
I
you.
thought it was October.
No.
I thought you were
Whoopsie.
November, baby.
No, I'm October.
Okay, sorry.
I'm
Still
that side of
Scorpio.
You're,
right.
Yeah, you're Scorpio, but
Yeah.
for some reason I thought you were early.
You're the closer. I'm like on the cusp of Scorpio, almost Sagittarius.
So you're on the other
Rough
end.
mix.
See, now I have a hat
Yeah.
trick now because he's October 25th. Ian's grandfather's the 26th, and my mother's the 27th.
And I'm going to go change all of my passwords on all my social media now.
There you go.
They're now going to be password. Oh, crap. He's got to change them again.
2, 3, 4, 5. That's a stupid password. That's terrible. Oh, I have to go change the password on my luggage. Sorry, it's
That's the type of password an idiot would put on his luggage.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
I was gonna say that's my
Combination.
voicemail password at work is.
Yeah.
His voicemail.
All right. So, question of the week is going to be directed at Monk first. Monk, what's making your geeky little heart happy this week?
What's making my geeky heart happy?
Into the microphone, sweetie.
Right into that mic.
Being here.
Being here makes. Oh, see, I love it.
She
when you
missed
schmooze.
us.
What's that
She
thing
had-
on
it's
your
been a while
back?
since I've seen the Monk
Oh,
lately.
well, yeah, I've also got my tattoo.
You did get a tattoo. It's very
Yes,
cool.
I did.
What do you
I
got
love
back
it.
there? Tell us a little bit about it.
It's
It's
a witching cat.
Yes. I love her very much. I've got this cat face that says, I know something you don't know.
Yeah, that's the expression in the eyes, really.
And I got her for my goddess mom, Karen.
We miss Karen.
We do.
How long has it been now?
Been a decade.
Yeah.
Has it been almost 10
decade.
years?
It's
Is it 10?
it's just past 10 years. Yep.
That blows my mind.
Yep.
I miss that woman. Probably not as much as you do. So, but yeah, you got that ink, and who did the ink for you?
Randy
Smith
Smith at Rocking Horse in New Hartford.
in New Hartford. Yes.
Apple,
Connecticut?
New York.
No, New York.
Oh.
Big Apple Music Plaza.
So big shout out to Randy Smith at Rocking Horse Tattoos.
Very
Thank
snazzy,
you.
very snazzy.
I
Derek,
love it.
Derek, what's making your heart happy this week?
Well, since last episode, since we talked in that nebulous amount of time,
Yes.
there is talk of me doing more on that channel, on Scraticus's Twitch channel.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of details I'm allowed to go into, but
And
yeah,
how do you
there's-
spell
You have
that
an
again?
NDA at the moment.
Yeah, it's SCRATTICUS, like Atticus, but with a
Scrat.
With a
Yeah,
scrat.
scrat, exactly. Yeah, so you can find me playing on there every so often and DMing and more and stuff.
Look that up.
And
Look that up.
stuff.
That's good stuff.
Stuff.
And stuff.
And stuff. Tanya, your turn.
What's making my geeky
the
little
DM
heart
is
happy
made
this week? We're going to be gaming a little later, and so when I
Yeah.
went downstairs to put something in the basement, I walked around where the gaming table was, and it had been switched out, so it's now back to the big table, so everyone can fit. But it's going to be try to figure out who gets to sit in the middle on the other side of the table. I'll be good. I have my own spot.
You know
but
you know where I'll be.
You'll be at the end. So
I'll be at the end.
Whoever's
Sitting
in
there
the
with
middle
Scott.
is going to have to roll for initiative in order to be able to get out of that spot.
We went back to the old school 3-table setup, right?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Because they'll have plenty of space.
And it's two tables going this way and the last table going the opposite way, so it gives you a little more room
Right.
along the
The sides.
I need to get out. Roll for me an acrobatics check.
There you go.
Well, the thing is, it's like just go under the table. Just slip underneath the table.
Somebody did do that once.
I know I've gone under the table a couple times searching for
Yeah,
dice.
but that was tequila was involved.
I don't drink tequila. It was vodka. Come on, get it straight.
Billy, how about you?
An app I found.
Oh,
that
really?
I've been
Tell me about
enjoying.
your app.
It's Podcast Addict.
Oh, okay. I think you were mentioning.
Did I mention this on another episode? I may have.
Well, you'd hinted at it because we were talking about where to find podcasts, and you had mentioned Podcast Addict.
Podcast Addict has helped me organize all my podcasts, including
Me
FC3
too.
Monkey Business.
That's phenomenal.
You can find all the different podcasts that you listen to. You hit the plus sign, you add the ones you like, and when a new episode comes in, it'll automatically download it. You can control which ones you download, which ones you
Is it
just want to
platform specific, or does it go across?
No,
Okay.
That's good.
I'm using it on my Kindle,
Okay.
and I think you can. I've seen people use it on their phones.
So iHeart, Podcast,
Yeah.
Podbean,
Yeah,
Google
Apple,
Play, doesn't matter.
all of them.
It'll
You
find it wherever it
It'll
is.
find it wherever it is. And
That's awesome.
I'm in
need
the
that.
process of trying to search for it right now,
I
and
need that. What's that called again?
it's a
Podcast Addict.
yeah.
if you-
And
Add it.
if I start scrolling up, I don't know which one it is because I get the iTunes podcasts, and then it says the podcast app, and then Pocket Casts, Overcast.
Podcast Addict.
I did. I clicked that, but Overcast.
So
See-
Tanya's got some hunting to do.
No, I found it.
Yeah, but
She will be the podcast Nimrod.
you don't
gonna
have
say,
an iPhone. I do.
Nimrod.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I have an Android, and I'm downloading it right now.
All right. It's the iPhone. Pfft.
Shut up.
Chris, it's your turn. What's making your geeky little heart happy today? Nothing? He's got
I
nothing.
got nothing.
You got nothing.
You got nothing?
Nothing.
He got a rock.
I said that last week when we were helping Chris move. Ian said he had the front of the couch. Chris,
She is your daughter.
Yeah,
Randy had the back of the couch. Chris had the middle. I said, I have a rock.
Yeah, I heard that as
I always say that. That's why that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes.
I got a rock.
I'm still looking for that podcast thing.
Any new shows?
Nothing. I have been running. Well, yeah, there is something new.
There we go.
I got to go to the ocean
Nice.
on my birthday.
Beautiful.
It was not what was expected because there were some circumstances that caused it. But got to see the ocean for the first time.
I haven't seen the ocean in a good couple of years at this point.
And while I was there at the beach, I played Arthur Curry from Ookla the Mock.
Fantastic.
I blared it on the truck
Nice.
with the windows down.
Yep.
That's outstanding.
Nice. I did
That's
not
classic.
know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I'm sad now. Podcast Addict is only for Android
it's not for
users.
iPhone.
Aw.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
When are you upgrading your phone?
when you getting a real phone?
How many times have you wanted to throw your phone because you couldn't handle your Droid lately?
This one sucks, but that's
no.
not indicative of Android phones.
Oh
It's just
no, that
this
phone
one in
sucks.
particular.
Yes, you've been.
What do you have?
LG V20.
He wants to.
I want to go
love
back to
my
the Galaxy
S6.
series badly.
Hello and
we have
welcome to
Galaxy 8.
Apple. We've invented a new button. Come buy our new $800 phone.
I will not go. No, I
Idiots.
will not go up to the iPhone 10, the iPhone X. It's just ridiculous. It's like my parents are contemplating upgrading, and my dad he's got a 7 or an 8. I think he's got the 7 Plus like I do. It's $1,000 for the iPhone 10.
I don't see why not. The line is probably almost finished by now to get one.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Apple sheep.
And if he turns in his phone, he gets like $200 off of it. But I'm like, this one alone was $850 that I'm still paying for.
Not a chance.
It's ridiculous.
Not a chance.
Nope.
If it has an actual airplane mode where it turns into an airplane, maybe I'll
There you go.
But
There you go.
till that point, no
That's a
thanks.
good one. I like that one.
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Dubstep sound effects.
Love you,
Yeah,
Derek.
you're going to become part of our regular cast.
He has to. It's a given thing now. He's part of the family at this point. Love this guy. And as for me, my home office is up and running. It's operational. It works. It's a thing. So I'm excited.
At this moment.
And last but not least, seriously, you got to stop cueing me thinking I've forgotten stuff. That's happened twice this episode alone. That's got to stop. That's no bueno. I'm a
You've
I'm
been
a trained
under
professional.
a lot of stress in the last couple of months.
I'm a trained professional. Don't try this at home. Sherry, my love, go ahead.
I've started a new book.
Which one? Are you writing it or reading it?
Reading.
Because I want to hear when you write. Because you write freaking phenomenal. I don't want to hear it because you write phenomenal. You've sent me some stuff that's blown my mind.
I write small stuff phenomenal.
Yeah, well, when you do the D&D stuff, you do this art. There's artistry there. You've got skill. You got to use it.
Thank you. Now, I've started a book called Wild Seed by Octavia Butler.
Yeah.
It's like nothing I've ever read before.
What makes it different?
So interesting.
It's in Czechoslovakian.
No. Well, one, it's set in Africa, which you don't get a lot of sci-fi set in Africa.
Okay.
At least it's in Africa at the moment, but they seem to be leaving. It's about, there's this man, I don't really know how, he's able to leave his body and go into other people's bodies. It kills the other, the other person's soul leaves, so he takes it over completely, and he runs through bodies quickly. So this is not a good thing.
Okay.
But he feels he is superior to everyone, and he is creating, he's like breeding people that have special abilities to each other, trying to achieve more special people because the more abilities someone has, the longer the body will last for him.
I don't know if I picked up on this earlier, or you may have said something. Does he have a body of his own anymore?
No.
Okay, so he has left his, and he's just bouncing
long
around
ago.
from person
He's been
to person.
around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And he has encountered the main character of this story, who she has a shape-shifting ability. She can heal from pretty much anything.
Okay.
She can change her shape. She has her own form, but she's been now alive for about 300 years because she is able to heal anything. And she it's just really neat. And he thinks that she is possibly a descendant of one of the groups of people that he had been purposefully breeding together, and he refers to her as a wild seed. And now he wants to know how she ticks. And it's
is he
really
try and
interesting.
possess her? Or?
At this point, no, he doesn't want to. What he wants to do is he wants to breed her.
Ooh. Well, okay then.
It's very interesting. It's as I said. It's I love sci-fi. It's nothing like I've ever read before. And this is an author that I've been meaning to read for a very long time.
Who's the author again?
Octavia Butler.
Thank you.
And she's somebody that I've read bits and pieces of, but I've never read one of her full books. And Audible just did a huge sci-fi sale where they had a ton of their sci-fi on sale for $4.95, $5.95, $6.95. So I picked up a ton of new books, including 3 Octavia Butlers that I've been dying to read, and this is the first one. Actually, I'm listening to it. I'm not reading it. But it's really tremendous.
Cool.
It's really tremendous.
Highly recommended then.
Highly recommended.
All right, listener, you heard that. Octavia Butler, The Wild Seed.
Just Wild Seed.
Just Wild Seed, not the.
Nope, just
Gotcha.
Wild Seed.
My question is, though, is this guy who does the body snatching, are we sure he's not just trying to infinitely stretch the Hulu 7-day trial? Because that's why I would do that.
At the moment in the story, it's during the slave trade.
Okay.
So Hulu's not a thing yet.
Okay, just checking.
Not quite there yet.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe.
All right. There you have it. I wanted to end with that because I want to spend some time on that. That was cool. So you got to let me know how it ends. Well, don't let me know how it ends, but let me know if you liked how it ends.
If I continue liking it,
Okay.
yes.
So for Billy, for Tanya, for Ian, for Sherry, for Monk, for Chris, for Derek, and for me, I am also Chris. This has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you like a spider monkey. And we will see you all very, very soon. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Patreon, follow us on Twitter, follow us everywhere we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. Have a great week, and we'll see you all soon.
Muffins.